That's a great movie.
Oh, hey, yeah, that movie's good. But it was.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but I heard
it was. Oh, you would like it. I think. I think you would like it. It's like an adult movie that's actually like framed as a kid's film.
Mm-hmm. There's even a blowjob scene.
Yeah. There's a blatant blowjob scene that I have no idea how that didn't get cut.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello again, welcome to another episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Yanish. Joining me today, as always, are my co-host Alex Overdahl.
Run out of stupid quotes.
And Justin Neitzel.
The stone has power when it's there.
He knows the movie. He knows the movie.
Yeah. I knew he'd have one.
Well, I kind of got to know the movie since it's my pick.
Yep, I was going to say, today's episode is Justin's pick for our series on movie picks. And Justin, can you tell everyone what you had us watch this week?
I picked the animated movie The Secret of NIHM.
Very underrated classic that people either saw when they were 5 or haven't even heard of. I'm very excited to talk about it.
Or saw it once when they were 5 and were terrified and never watched it again.
Yeah, have vague memories of the scary rat movie with the random crow and the big spooky owl. But before we get into all of that, we have our opening segment as always. But instead of doing what we have some news this week. Finally, everyone.
Yay, news!
Stuff to talk about. These past couple of weeks, we've had some major acquisitions in the media world. The big one that happened first, AT&T announced that they are divesting Warner Media and merging it with Discovery for $43 billion. And just yesterday, as of this recording, Amazon announced that they are purchasing MGM Studios for about $8 billion. So some major events happening with that. These are really big deals for a multitude of reasons. Yeah,
I think different deals in kind of almost opposite directions in terms of like what's probably going to happen with them. And I think that this is like the start of something big. I think you're going to see some big mergers happening. I think overall, I think a lot of companies want to divest a lot of their media businesses. The AT&T one came as kind of a shock to a lot of people. The big reason being that when this story started being like rumored, it was being pitched as the obvious thing of AT&T is going to absorb Discovery, and Discovery is going to become a Warner brand. Turns out it's the complete opposite, and Discovery is actually taking control of Warner, which is bizarre that the smaller company is taking up the bigger company, which to me is a sign of two things possibly happening. One is that AT&T realized that they probably never should have bought Warner in the first place, and that they had no business running a media production company and were over their heads, which was, I think, a lot of people kind of thought from the beginning, especially some of the decisions that they made. Yeah, they clearly did not know how to handle Warner.
Yeah, because Warner's huge. Warner's bigger than most people know. And AT&T doesn't understand the level of production that they had with everything, and decided to just get rid of it. But the other possibility, which I think might be what's happening, because we've seen this before, is that AT&T is planning to completely merge with someone else and can't do it if they owned Warner. Mm-hmm. That Warner would make them too big, and they would need to get rid of Warner for another telecommunications company. Since most telecommunications companies own media production companies, they would need to get rid of Warner for someone to actually merge with them.
We don't want all your baggage.
Well, it's more the FTC would go, nope. That's a monopoly, which is what happened when Comcast tried to merge with them, 5 years ago, shortly before they bought Warner.
Yeah.
Because I remember, because that was the big one where AT&T wanted to merge with Comcast. People were like, that's wrong. But around the same time, because the stories are dropping that Disney thought about buying Warner a few years back.
Thank God that didn't happen.
That's one. It was right before they decided to buy Fox.
Yeah.
Disney called Warner and said, "Hey, can we do a merger?" Which again, that's the darkest timeline.
Yeah, I think this is the first kind of acquisition, at least that I've seen in a while, that I not super cynical about and angry about, I guess, because like it feels like the opposite of what's been happening. It's been the big company gobbles up other similar company, strips them for IPs, and guts them and just absorbs them. But in this case, it's AT&T is getting, by selling Warner to Discovery, they're selling them to a smaller company. It feels like Warner's probably going to be much more independent than they were at AT&T, where you had the constant infighting with AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T really did not seem to know what they were doing or like a lot of what Warner's businesses were.
Yeah.
Which was
and
issue.
Warner does things the way Warner does it. Like, they've been around so long that they're going to want to operate how they've operated.
I mean, there was talks of DC being shut down. There was talks of them selling off the games division. AT&T just looked to be in over their heads. And I don't think that all of Warner is necessarily safe from being sold off. It would not shock me if Discovery made Warner smaller and dumped some of the divisions that they're not necessarily experts in. I mean, they'll leave movies and TV alone. I don't think DC Comics is safe. I don't think games is safe.
No, I think games is already kind of... I saw something about that where it's like half of it's like gone now.
Well, half of it's still owned by AT&T and half of it's owned by Warner, and we don't know which half is which.
Yeah.
It's kind of an issue. So we don't know if Rocksteady or NetherRealm. We don't know if they're with Warner, if they're with AT&T. And I don't think AT&T owned any video game companies before this.
Not that I know of, but I mean, it's hard to tell these days.
But then, going off what you're saying, Alex, you have the Amazon MGM deal, which really seems to just be the mega corporation just consuming more.
Yeah. Which I would say.
And I feel like, to me, the MGM deal isn't Amazon buying MGM. It's Amazon buying Bond.
That's the thing is MGM doesn't own a lot of rights to everything. It just seemed to be basically Bond and I think Creed.
Yeah, Creed.
Yeah,
because they didn't get Wizard of Oz either.
Yeah, because Warner owns that. Well, technically, Wizard of Oz is open domain, but Warner owns the movie.
Warner gets to do Wicked is really what that means.
Actually, Universal's doing Wicked. Wicked's not part of that. Yeah, because since it's open domain, anyone can do anything. And so Wicked was its own separate thing.
Still confusing. But I think the big thing, like, it's funny how they spent a lot of it to get Bond, but thankfully, in this case, they're not being allowed to do what they really want to do with Bond, which would be to stick it on Amazon, because Bond is going to keep releasing as it has been, and Eon's going to maintain like full control of Bond.
Yeah. Well, because Eon,
which held up the deal for like another week or two.
Well, because Eon can leave. I mean, MGM currently has the rights to Bond. They don't technically own Bond. Eon owns Bond.
Right. We saw that with the Sony deal.
Mm-hmm.
For the last couple.
Yeah. That's because MGM actually is not as big as people think they are. Most of the classic movies, MGM doesn't even own the rights to. Warner does, because Turner bought them in the 80s and Warner bought Turner. And the stuff that MGM does own, they have to have someone else finance for release.
Yeah. Like
Sony doing Bond. So Amazon is basically just becoming their full-time distributor, which is kind of bizarre to me. I don't necessarily know why Amazon would want MGM, because their only big franchises are Rocky, Bond, and Pink Panther. And Pink Panther has been dormant for
since
decades.
Peter Sellers died.
And Rocky is doing well, but I think it's kind of shaky. Bond's the only for sure hit. But to me, this deal makes sense just because when the pandemic first hit and No Time to Die was possibly going to be sold off to another company, they wanted like $1 billion for it, just because they wanted to make what they would get at the box office as part of the deal. So why pay $1 billion for one movie when you can pay $8 billion for everything?
Mm-hmm. And now we'll get 9 spin-offs, or no, take that back, 8 spin-off shows, all 001, 002, 003, all the way to 009.
That's part of what held it up, because Eon won't do that, and Amazon wants to, but Eon said no.
It's because Amazon wants... I feel like Lord of the Rings is emboldening them to want to do bigger stuff on the TV side. Because Amazon, for a while there was really, in my opinion, like losing that streaming war fight because their stuff just was kind of.
Oh, their stuff was terrible. All their
it was
original
terrible.
stuff
It
was
was
very
falling
poorly.
behind. Then the boys came out and kind of started changing things. And then after the boys came Invincible, which is a pretty big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if only they could have done a better job on the Tick.
Yeah, they screwed that up, which was a great show, but they just abandoned it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I will say that as long as they're owned by Amazon, Bond isn't like completely out of the woods because leadership in Eon could eventually change. But right now, they're very firm, and they should stay firm because like. This franchise has been around since the 60s, and it's like all the other event franchises aren't events anymore. And Bond, they can literally delay for like 2 years and still be like, yeah, it's still going to be like $1 billion movie.
Yeah, I'm not happy about the Amazon MGM merger. I'm perfectly fine with the Warner Discovery. I think that's the best overall for Warner as a company. I don't think AT&T was doing them any favors. But the MGM Amazon one, it's more of Amazon consuming the world, and that's what we need less of.
Jeff Bezos' evil laugh intensifies.
I saw something along the lines of Jeff Bezos keeps making superhero movies where essentially the Superman is the bad guy, and someone's like, how come no one has pointed this out yet? Because everyone calls him Lex Luthor anyways.
Yeah, I mean, because Amazon's in a position where they aren't necessarily losing the streaming fight, but they're certainly not winning.
Yeah, they're banking. All their chips are on Lord of the Rings.
Yep. If that fails, they're screwed. But it probably won't. And,
I feel like there's no way it can't be good if they put this much into it.
Well, and maybe that's something to do with their MGM purchase, because a lot of people don't know that MGM owns The Hobbit, which is why they were part of the Hobbit movie production. They own the rights to it. So maybe they wanted to have more token stake.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, obviously they're not going to make any token movies because New Line has the actual... They can't really do shit without New Line's involvement, which is why New Line's involved in this show. I'm sure HBO Max is pissed that Amazon is doing a Lord of the Rings show. I'm sure they're furious. But, yeah, big acquisitions. I don't think we've seen the end. MGM was ripe to get bought out.
Yeah, it's been
really,
for years.
It sucks that Amazon was the one to do it. But if you look at what the options were, Warner was in no position to buy them.
Hey, at least it wasn't Disney.
Disney just bought Fox. Disney can't buy MGM. The FTC would get all riled up. And they're getting riled up about this one. 3 hours ago, an article just came out saying that Senator Amy Klobuchar is basically demanding that the DOJ investigate the Amazon MGM purchase. I don't necessarily know why MGM buying or Amazon getting the rights to Bond is like a big consumer issue, considering just how small MGM is. But
also, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's worth doing much. I don't think it's going to cause a monopoly. Disney buying Warner would make me go, someone look at this.
But,
yeah, that would be like at the end of. Yeah, that would be very bad.
But as it stands, I'm not that upset with it. But I think Sony might sell off the movie division soon. There's been talks about that. Who knows who would buy that?
Disney.
We can offer you $10.
Oh no! Disney would want just to have Spider-Man.
Yep.
That's the only reason why they would do it. They did it with Fox.
Yeah, and they would pay infinite money just to get Spider-Man.
We're gonna get all our properties back by just buying your company.
Yeah,
I mean that's some 4D chess.
Why?
But it's where we're at. It's where we're at is like it's so bizarre, right? That we're getting so much content right now. This is peak TV. This is peak movies. This is peak everything. Yet the production is becoming slowly more consolidated. It's frightening that the volume is increasing, but yet the actual like creative freedom and actual like options.
Yeah.
Forget stuff. It's getting, and not just like barely. It's like in the past like 5 years, it's been cut like in half.
Yeah, and everything's significantly more corporatized because the same companies own all of it, and they want to do things the same way.
Well, I mean, you look at some of these companies, the way they run things. Netflix now compared to Netflix 5 years ago, completely different company.
Yeah, completely different shows too.
Well, completely corporatized. I mean, you look at how they were, because the big famous quote from Netflix for BoJack Horseman, when that came out, the creator said that what he got from Netflix, like the big note was that the biggest day for BoJack Horseman season 1's premiere will be when BoJack season 2 premieres. That was their mindset. That shows come out, we'll build them over time, we'll build an audience over time, and we'll grow our market that way. Not anymore. A show better do well in the first 2 minutes. It better do well the first week, or else it's gonna or it's canceled. It's gone. It's off. But with that very grim, with that very there'll be plenty of Disney bash in this episode. But yeah, corporate world getting scary. Murders are getting big. It's something to really kind of keep in touch with, because it could be good. We could get more content, or it could be another Disney Fox deal, and they just basically do it to get rid of the competition and own a library of movies. We don't know what's going to happen, but
and we're going to make all our stuff look the same. Look no further than The Rise of Skywalker and Avengers Endgame. Basically, the ending is the same.
Yeah, and then some of the Fox stuff is kind of getting there too. But we'll see what happens. And with that, we're going to move on to our main topic today, which is Justin's movie pick of The Secret of NIHM, the 1980s classic animated film by Don Bluth. Justin, do you want to kind of speak a little bit why you picked this movie?
I just picked this movie because it's a movie I remember watching quite a bit as a kid, finding on television and everything, but you don't hear many people talk about it, but when you mention it, everyone's like, oh, that movie is great. Essentially, this story is this mother mouse, or one of her son is ill, and it's springtime's rolling around, so they live on a farm field, and he can't be moved because he has pneumonia. So she basically tries to get help to move her house, which is like a concrete block, out of the field so that her son will not die. And that leads her to meet the Great Owl, who then moves on to meet these rats of NIHM, who were basically a bunch of rats that were experimented on in a mental institute, trying to get them create a drug to make regain brain function.
So it's like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of thinking about that after watching it again. I was like, this is kind of Planet of the Apes before Planet of the Apes.
I think it's also important to say, too, that Mrs. Brisby, the main character, is a widow.
Mm-hmm. Her husband died
which is
the week before.
At times.
Yeah, and her husband was one of these mice or rats that was experimented on.
Wait, he just died? I didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He just died before the story started.
I did get lost a little bit in that, like the timeline of it.
Yeah, it's not well defined, but it's like right before the story starts.
Okay.
It's kind of vague in Nicodemus' opening or whatever, where he's writing in the book.
Yeah, which is one of those things that if you're not really prepared for it kind of goes over your head a little bit, because it just kind of like starts going right away.
This is definitely a movie you have to watch a couple times to understand everything that's going on, which is rare for kids' cartoon.
Usually it like explains everything to you like instantly.
It's like Shrek. It's that Shrek open. I mean,
yeah.
But this movie tried to be something different. It tried to be adult. It tried to be contemporary. It was part of the era of like the high concept animated movie that was really successful.
Yeah, now we get a bunch of...
It was more successful than other ones, at least.
Yeah, I mean, this one, it worked out. It's a cult classic. It's a film that either you remember and love, or you thought you made up in your head when you were a kid.
Well, especially how dark it is. I mean, I know this movie can freak you out at times just watching it. Whether it be from the Great Owl to the rats... Just the lightings and colors that they choose throughout this whole movie, you're just like, you're on edge at times.
It's very atmospheric with that.
Yeah, visually, like, you know me, I'm not the animation person here. Like, I was like, from like the get-go, I was really impressed by the visuals and the animation. Like, the visual style is fantastic. And like, even when, you know, sometimes I felt like the story was unfocused, but even then it remains interesting just because like most of the parts work well and then the visuals are fantastic.
It looks amazing. It's got this like storybook aesthetic to it that just looks beautiful with the hand paint. Like, it shows you the importance of 2D animation, right? Because here's a movie that is almost 40 years old and it looks better than most anime movies made today, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, they also, you mean this because it wasn't, like you said, it's hand drawn, so it's not computer animated, so they're like, you have to put attention to detail and everything else into it.
Yeah, and classically hand-drawn animation, when you have the painted backgrounds and the cell stuff, that ages. If you do it, if you put the money into it, it looks beautiful and it won't age. When it's cheap, it ages as bad CGI does. But with something like this, I mean, Don Bluth was the master. He made some shit in his day, but this was his big debut. He broke from Disney. Here comes the Disney bashing. But Disney basically didn't give him or a lot of the people that he kind of grew up with, because Disney was like a feudal kingdom at this time, where it was the old dudes versus the second generation, where Don Bluth was, versus the third generation, where like John Lasseter and Tim Burton and Brad Bird all came in. It was those two like fighting each other. And so Don Bluth, just when they just said, screw this, I'm out, and took like 17 people with him and left and started making this movie in his garage.
He went on to make a lot of great animated movies like American Tail and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, but he has some shit there, though.
Yeah, like Titan AE and...
Hey! I like Titan AE. I like... Talk shit about Titan AE. Titan AE is fucking great. It's not, but I love it. It's great.
It is fun.
Terrible, it's great.
I will admit it's fun, but I actually came across it the other day, and the animation does not hold up.
Oh no, because the CGI in the movie looked bad when it came out. It probably does not look good now. But he has like the lowest grossing animated movie ever with Troll in Central Park.
And it also probably has the second lowest grossing. That's he's got a nice 1-2 combo in there. Yeah,
because he has Thumbelina and Troll in Central Park, which nobody saw. Pebble and the Penguin, which nobody saw. Anastasia, which is like the one movie people know about him. Either his movies were extremely successful and spawned like 50 sequels, like
The Land Before Time.
And All Dogs Go to Heaven has a couple too, right?
Yeah, it has one and a TV show.
Okay,
I think,
but his
one
stuff.
more, but
there's a Christmas TV movie, but there's only like one actual sequel to it.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay, you're right.
But his stuff. His style, which shows in this movie, I think this is probably my favorite Don Bluth movie, because I'm not a fan of a lot of the stuff that he's done, just because like American Tail I was forced to watch as a kid a bunch, and I thought it's the most boring movie ever.
First one's boring. I like the second one.
Yeah, but I only got to the first one because I couldn't get past it, because I was like, this is boring. Mm-hmm. And you guys know me. If I don't want to do something, I refuse to do it. As a kid, I was worse. As a kid, if I didn't like it, I wasn't going to watch the sequel. I was going to watch whatever the hell it was. But Secret of NIHM was like made to be like the anti-Disney of its time, and it feels like it.
Yeah, what was the comment? One of the things I said was that this is like Black Cauldron, but if it was good.
It kind of is.
Because like visually they're very similar, and this, like I said, I feel like there's almost too many story parts and they should have focused in, but what's there is interesting. And in Black Cauldron, that movie is super unfocused and none of it is interesting.
It tries to do what Black Cauldron was doing with the high concept fantasy animation and is way more successful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a Black Cauldron hater. I am. I think it's a terrible movie.
So is Disney.
That gets credit for trying new things when this movie tried and did things successfully and doesn't get the same level of like member Black Cauldron that everybody does.
Well, it's such a shame to me because imagine if Secret of NIHM was made at Disney and got the budget that Black Cauldron did.
Oh, it would have been even better. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's part of the problem with Secret of NIHM is that the budget was super low. It looks great for the budget it had.
Yeah.
But Don Bluth has also admitted that people who made the film basically worked overtime when they couldn't afford it and donated their time. So that's how the movie would look amazing.
Well, I appreciate them doing that.
Yeah, because it shows, right? And that's the thing about, especially with animation to me, that when the people care and love what they're doing, you can see that in the work.
Yeah.
Especially the hand-drawn animation, because it requires so much finesse to do hand-drawn animation. It requires so much precision and effort. Because that's I mean you can make half-assed camera shots look sort of okay. They still look cheap, but they look serviceable. Half-assed animation looks half-assed. Like you can't half-ass Secret of NIHM.
No.
Right, especially not on that budget. Like, and I think one thing that works in its favor as far as like the detail is like there's so much in the environments, especially like the wide environment shots. Like there's so many little things you can see, and even with the lower budget, like are so detailed. Like there's a lot to look at.
Yeah, they had a lot
they use the environments to their full advantage.
Well, like even when she goes to meet the doctor guy, I didn't know. After rewatching it again this time, I noticed like he has a sign that says "Welcome, get out."
Yeah, that's not. I love looking at the world of this movie because so the characters in this movie, right? They're animals that are kind of in the halfway step of evolution, where they're all kind of gaining intelligence, and they're kind of at the halfway point where they're starting to become humans. And so seeing how the animals interpret the stuff people make and use it for themselves, but also how they understand it is amazing to me. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that like NIHM, right, which is the National Institute of Mental Health, is treated as like this mystical place.
As a mystical person.
And the things that it makes are like magic, right? When it's just technology. I love that. I love that so much. It's so creative.
Yeah, I also like how in the open the doctor, like his house isn't like an abandoned like tractor, right? Like something like that. It's like some hollowed out piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Which looks really cool.
They're essentially like children where like they think it's one thing but it's actually another.
Yeah, like, oh, we have to go before this like deadly weapon of mass destruction clears us, and it's a tractor.
Yeah, it's a tractor with a plow.
Yeah. So it's got that sense of that like the childlike wonder of like, oh, there's this giant thing, but for us it makes normal things look more like fantastical.
Well, and I mean, this kind of came with them naming the cat Dragon, but it's like the dragon, it's like, oh, it's a cat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It frames the world in this interesting way that basically it finds fantasy in the mundane.
Yeah.
It finds all like the mystical, magical stuff and just the normal shit, which makes, to me, the one thing about this movie that I would say for sure does not work is the amulet subplot.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
I love this movie, which that part is not in the book. This movie is based off a book, which I own but have not read. It's packed away somewhere. I buy it at a library sale because, I should read this, and then I never did. So it's packed away somewhere. But I did see that was the one thing that Don Bluth added because he said that animation movies should have magic in it. And
which is very arbitrary.
to me, it completely derails the point of the movie, which is the whole like it's magic, but it's just normal people shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved all the parts that were like that, and then it's like, oh, but there's actual magic in this. But how? Because I thought even like when she's going to meet them, I thought somehow even the amulet would be explained by like real things. You know what I mean? And then it's just magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he kind of works that around with also making it the owl and Nicodemus seem more mystical and everything than.
Yeah, the
he tries to
mirror on
find
the wall
ways.
thing.
I mean, he doesn't just.
I just like.
He kind of hints at stuff like that beforehand, before he just hits you over the head with the amulet at the end.
It just, to me, I would rather have it been something scientific that they see as magical, because that's the parts that are interesting me. Like,
and who knows? Maybe he did have the idea, but he didn't have the budget to make it work.
And I think that's a lot of it. Like, we don't see, like, one of the big parts of the movie is that Nim knows that the rats are there and wants to get rid of them, basically trying to hide what they did. And
yeah, that doesn't really come in.
It doesn't come in because they probably couldn't afford to have that scene of them coming in and destroying their home. They probably just couldn't afford to actually do that.
Yeah, this is one like either like they should have chosen more carefully and cut some things, or one of the rarer cases where you do the opposite and probably if they had more money should have actually been longer. Because I think all the pieces that are there are interesting, but need to be explained more, and that could very much be a factor of the budget and not being able to make it longer.
Yeah, there definitely feels like there's scenes that should be in this movie that aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because especially with the lore stuff, because the lore in this movie is fantastic. There's a scene where it goes back in time and shows how the rats of Nim were created and given intelligence. That's one of my favorite scenes in any animated movie ever.
Yeah.
It is so weird and so
Where
abstract.
he can read the sign and it's just like, oh shit, I can just unlock this cage.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, it's made like in this kind of creepy, scary way, especially with the weird lighting effects and the colors.
Well, Nicodemus is creepy.
And his voice.
Yeah, he is. And the weird 2001 effects that happen as the rats change. But it looks so cool. And you get the scenes of the mice dying, which is brutal as fuck for kids' film.
I'll touch on that later.
Okay. But it's such a good scene that I wanted to see more of, because not a lot of it comes back to kind of tie it all together at the end, because I love the characters in this movie, but you could probably argue that there's too many of them.
I would make that argument, but at the same time, I like that. Like, I just wish, if you're gonna have them, they had more time. Like, I really like the bird. He's fun. He's after he takes her to the owl, like he serves no story purpose, to the point where, remember when he shows up at the end and it's like, oh, I got the string, and they're like, oh yeah, I told you to do that. That's also how I felt. I was like, oh yeah, they told him to get that string for the climax, and then it never came in.
Well, no, they didn't. No, they didn't do it to get to the climax. They told him to get the string so he'd go away.
Well, she asked him to get string to move the house.
Right. Yeah. It was something about that, but then like it doesn't come in. So like he doesn't end up being a part of like the climax, which I kind of expected him to be.
And then he bangs.
Yeah. Very obviously. I'm like, wow, in this kid's movie, they're just having that kid accidentally see them bang.
I was going to say, as a kid's watching them bang.
Well, and that was ad-libbed. Like, the actor Dom DeLuise basically added that subplot in the recording sessions of that this bird wants love. and that's why he wants all this stuff, is because he wants love. Now Bluth was like, yeah, sure, okay.
He appears in a lot of Don Bluth movies, and he's always a fun guy. He's a fun actor to listen to say the lines and everything.
Yeah, he's really funny.
I feel like they're required to put him in like these movies, like Pixar with John Ratzenberger. It's like, we have to make up some character for Don DeLuise to be.
Yeah.
But I also, when I saw the characters, Mrs. Brisby is such a damn good protagonist that is nowhere in the discussion for like great female protagonists in movies. She's fucking great.
She goes from a very timid, very scared housewife and volunteers to help put this cat to sleep to help her son. I mean, that's a great arc of going from timid to like, I will do this to help save my family.
Yeah, like there's like this bizarre, like heartbreaking nature because you have like this recent widow whose son's dying of pneumonia, and like you feel her struggle, but you're also happy to kind of see her grow and change because it's really a plot of a widow trying to like become the head of the family, and she's successful. But she has an arc, and she has flaws, which you don't really see a lot of in these movies.
I mean, she's scared of heights, and she gets put in the bird's cage in the family house.
Yeah, so she's forced to constantly forced to kind of face those flaws, and there's like the progression of that. Like from the beginning, she's doing things she's uncomfortable having to do to help her son, and then like it just gets progressively bigger and bigger. Like, but she like constantly pushes forward and does them because she has to.
Well, what also works is you actually kind of see her somewhat fail in the beginning when she tries to stop the tractor. And the aunt has to come in and help actually stop the machine, and she's like holding onto the.
True, I fucking hate her.
And then
I hate her too.
And then but then after she stops the tractor, you just see Miss Brisby just like holding onto the tractor for like dear life, like she's like freaked out.
Yeah, she like doesn't move after it's done. It's not like, "Ha, we did it." She's like, "Oh God, oh God."
Well, this to me is how you write. Like woman empowerment stories, because I got the sense watching this movie that her husband did most of the work. It was like the protector, and now that he's gone, she has to step up and lead her family, and she does. Big time. And maybe he wants to be with that one rat. I wasn't quite sure about that. That was weird.
I thought 100% they were gonna like get together, and then like at the end it just kind of doesn't.
Well, I think they kind of poo-pooed that when they had Nicodemus saying like when they got injected, it kind of prolonged their life. So he's younger than her. He's gonna stay that young for like. While she dies.
But her husband was like way older than her too, right? Because he was like he had that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he didn't tell her that.
Right.
Again, who knows? Considering they could have, but they just didn't have the budget.
Yeah, I think it's probably why Jonathan Brisby doesn't appear in it. Oh, we need to have another character. Can't do that.
Just take the sick kid kind of look, and then just make him look a little older, and that'll be Jonathan Brisby.
Yeah, we'll take one design, make him a kid, so we can just take a kid design we already have, animate that.
I mean, and they actually did a good job with like the kids aren't in a lot, but when they are, they're actually a lot of fun to watch. And
I love the youngest girl.
It's a turkey.
I didn't like the kids.
What?
Well, okay. I liked the little girl was fun. The little boy I wanted to like punch him in the face.
Oh yeah, he sucked.
But like he was barely, because I thought it was gonna be, when he shows up. I thought again it was gonna be the animated thing where like the kids do all this stuff. He's gonna be this brave hero kid character. I'm like, oh no. And then no, it's the mom who does all of that, and the kid's just in like 2 scenes.
The kid's just like he's the all talk no action kind of kid.
And that's what makes the movie successful to me, is the fact that it's very much Mrs. Brisby's story.
Yeah.
It's her tale. She does the stuff. Yeah. Justin fights what's his face?
The evil rat.
What's the evil rat's name?
They should. I mean, they gave him a long beard. They should at least given him some like twirly mustache too, so he could twirl that while laughing in the background.
See, but he's actually, I like Jenner as a villain only because it's an interesting theme to me to have the rats start to have human problems.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wish was explored more, because like you randomly get like this rat society, and then you get like this Shakespearean like rat betrayal guy, and I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. Like, but it goes kind of fast. But I liked him a lot as a character, just because like the fact that they want to stay and keep living as they are, because this is the best thing that's happened to them, is living in this place.
Well, and that's the other thing.
And he doesn't want to go.
he's a great villain is because you see his side of things. You see why he doesn't.
Yeah.
They don't know what's out there. They don't know if what they're looking for is out there, but he wants to stay where they are to stay safe.
Mm-hmm. When they're
And
not
of course,
safe.
the irony that that they're gonna destroy it like the next day.
And not only that, he gets what he wants. He kills Nicodemus. Spoiler on a 40-year-old movie. but he kills Nicodemus. And in a very brutal, savage way. And then you get the scene where the kids almost drown, which is really horrifying.
I was like, are they gonna kill these kids?
Like that scene to me is hard to watch because it's like, fuck, this is actually kind of fucked up.
This is the fun part.
And
About
you got
this.
some
That's the fun.
stabby.
This is the fun part about that scene, though. Is just think about it. It's like, well, where's Timmy? Is he in a bed? Which is the bed floating, or is he under the mud?
They definitely didn't show him because they didn't have the money. That's a scene where clearly they just didn't have the money to actually show Timmy in that scene.
Just like drowning because he's asleep.
Yeah, like so he's like, we'll just explain it later. Fuck it.
The most important reason why Miss Brigsby's doing this, and we barely see him.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
But I mean, you also give him credit. I mean, they show blood in this film.
Yeah, they like stab him with swords and shit, and like they throws a dagger in his back. I'm like, oh, okay.
This is one of those movies that everyone calls like a dark animation, and people who see it today are like, it's not that dark. I've seen darker. But when this movie came out, holy crap!
And for kids animation, like people are, oh, I've seen darker. Yeah, you've seen like whatever anime where like somebody chops somebody's head into like 10 pieces. This is like for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they're stabbing people and stuff.
And it's dark and adult, not just in the violence, in the kind of scary imagery, but in the themes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a deep movie. It's about evolution. It's about like beings reaching higher levels of thinking. It's about death a lot. Like death like permeates this movie.
Overcoming
Jonathan Brisby's
odds.
death starts the movie. It's a great movie. I kind of understand, Alex, why you're not as big on it as me and Justin are.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. It's a good movie. It's definitely unfocused. That was just my thing.
Which
I definitely see
can't
that.
really fight you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. I can't because it is unfocused. I don't necessarily. To me though, that doesn't distract me from my enjoyment of it, and that's why I'm okay with it personally. But I do. But like really, a way to I think focus it more would be to get rid of the gray owl. But also the gray owl is so cool that I don't want it.
That's the problem. It's like some of that stuff is so cool that it's hard to get rid of, but also unless it's explored more, it doesn't serve a purpose.
Well, like you said earlier, when you was like, there's way too many characters. It's like, yeah, but there's not a character I don't like. I just wish they had more screen time.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters' purpose is to just send Miss Brisby to other characters.
It's like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta go to the
Quest acquired. It's Steve the Great Owl.
Well, because Jeremy takes Mrs. Brisby to the Great Owl, who tells her to go to the Rats of Nim, who take her here, take her there. Like it's.
Who take her to Nicodemus, who takes her to the house so she can mess with the cat.
However, it does mean that the movie is always moving, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good plot progression. It needs just a little bit more money, and it's 82 minutes, which is about standard for animation, especially at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But hell, it could have been 2 hours. It really could have been.
Yeah.
I'd watch a 2-hour version.
Well, you might get your chance, Justin, because they are remaking it.
Are they?
Yep, MGM. I guess Amazon now, but MGM has for years now. Paramount tried to, but now MGM is trying to remake it. They've been doing it. It's going to be EP by the Russo brothers, but they say it's going to be a live action CGI hybrid prequel about the rats and a mouse. They haven't said who. I want to say it's Jonathan Brisby, but it wouldn't shock me if they made Mrs. Brisby in Jonathan's role for no reason.
Wait a minute.
But
So it's a prequel about them being given drugs and becoming smart and then breaking out of a lab. I feel like I've seen this movie in the last 10 years.
what are you?
It's Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah, it is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. God, yeah, you're right. But that's
Just leave it alone.
That's what they're doing.
Just leave it alone.
And nobody wants that movie. I only want them to do a remake or sequel or something if they keep it like it kind of was. But you know that the rats and mice are going to look like real rats and mice.
Yeah.
They're going to look like that. It's going to have that evil corporation villain type thing, where it's just going to be this evil corporation that's going to be super mean to the cute little mice. Like, it's going to lose all of what makes...
Yeah, it's going to lose the fantasy.
Yeah. Or it'll be in the sequel that we'll never get.
Well, there is actually a sequel.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to talk about it, because everything we praised about this movie, the sequel does the exact opposite. And it goes full Disney, where there's like songs, there's singing, it's all light and fluffy.
Oh yeah, it's an abomination, dude. It's really bad.
Sounds horrible.
They make the Great Owl a joke by having Jeremy the Crow dress up as the owl, and he teams up with this caterpillar. And all of a sudden, they're trying to scam people by giving great advice from the Great Owls, and they're charging people. It's like, you were ruining everything the first movie did.
Wow.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio is Timmy, and William H. Macy is Justin. What the hell?
Yep, he's Justin. But it's sad because they have such an awesome the premise for this is because those mice, like I said earlier, I'll come back to that. The mice that get lost in the ventilation shaft that we assume died, they actually survived and are in the basement. And one of the mice leaves that and finds them to help try to get them to rescue the mice of NIMH.
I liked it better when they were dead.
Yeah,
that's right.
You just see them get yeeted, and they just flail like horribly. Like, help me.
That and like, there's like 10 minutes of this movie is like a clip show of the last movie. Like, oh, thank you for showing a movie I'd rather be watching. And it's also funny because it focuses on the story of the kid you never see in the first one. And apparently the Great Owl told a prophecy that he would be the next Jonathan Brisby. It's just like, but we never even see the Great Owl. And then his brother becomes captured by NIMH, and then he becomes the villain.
And it's hilarious because he's dressed by Eric Idle.
Also, the whole first movie is about her finding that like courage in herself and stuff, and then I guess that doesn't matter now.
Nope, she's old lady in this one.
Yeah, none of it matters.
We know movies don't like old ladies.
She's barely in it, which I think has a lot to do with the fact that her original voice actress in the first movie sadly passed away in between film productions. Which sucks because she was very good in the first Secret of NIHM. Secret of NIHM's voice acting is top tier from a very unknown cast, relatively speaking.
Well, it's also funny as the second one came out 16 years later.
Yeah, it came out bizarre. Well, that's because it took that long for Secret of NIHM to become successful. It was not successful when it first came out, but it became a cult hit on home TV airings. And so MGM in the 90s really wanted to get into the animation market. They had that weird Pink Panther show where he talked. They had that sitcom where like the lion had like a family, like the MGM mascot lion had like a family, and they went on adventures together. They're really bizarre trying to get their animation business going. So why not revive more dead IPs?
Because we can't come up with something new.
Well, if it's successful, but if you're just gonna, Secret of NIHM 1 was successful because of the love and heart that the crew put into it. There was so much effort because Don Bluth wanted to spite Disney so bad that he wanted to make the anti-Disney film, and he did, and everyone around him was on board. He had a team of artists that were willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make a masterpiece. When you then corporatize that, have a bunch of bean counters take over a movie, and basically just cheaply throw something out so that grandparents will buy it for their kids, thinking it's the good one, you get garbage.
I want the Ratatouille movie. Here you go.
Ratatouille at home.
like it's just heartening because a Secret of NIHM sequel could, if done right, could be pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, even a prequel could be done well, but
yeah,
I just
to explore,
especially with how the story goes forward, right? Like as the animals continue to evolve, where does that story go? There's so much to do with that.
Does anyone else stumble upon them and try to capture them?
Then there's one who doesn't go along with it, and then they battle with the humans. Wait, I've seen this one before too.
Well, that is a question I have though about this movie. That maybe that is either a plot hole or a part of the plot. I want to ask you guys, kind of get your opinion on this. But so all the animals can kind of read, right? All the animals in the story can kind of read because Miss Bisbee says that she can read, and they kind of have their own little society. But yet we see when the rats of NIHM are taken by NIHM, they're like normal rats. So is there some like evolution where like the rat's presence is causing other animals to evolve with them?
I don't think so. Because she said Jonathan was teaching her how to read. The kids knew are better at it than she is, but that could also be the genetics passing down through this thing in Jonathan.
But then why is she not a normal mouse then?
Well, I think that it was.
I don't know. It's kind of weird because you raise a good point, but like also like the rabbits weren't wearing clothing at all. They were just.
I feel like I'm overthinking this movie too much.
You are, and you aren't.
Here was my thought. My thought on it was that he taught them, or like they all taught each other, and that's how they know this stuff. Because like that could be taught over time, especially we don't know how long it's been really. And then of course the kids, like you said, there's like genetic stuff, and then also they're kids, so they learn faster and easier than adults. But my question is, how does the bird know how to talk?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And
that's the only thing. So like with the mice, I get it because like they could be taught by him and stuff like that. But I'm like, wait, how is the bird like a person? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is there some like forced evolution thing where like the rat's presence is causing other animals to evolve? Is this how After Earth started? Well, is this a prequel to After Earth? Is all of a sudden Will Smith going to show up and start killing Mrs. Brisby?
Well, you do raise a good point because there's also the aunt who's not a mice or a mouse, and she can talk too. So you raise a good point.
I feel like I'm just overthinking this movie though to this day, and I'm finding plot threads and unraveling plot when I really don't need to. But they did say that the rats live longer. So maybe the rats live way longer.
That was my thought. Like they literally like taught them from like, you know.
Yeah, who's to say how long it was, how long it's been? Maybe they've helped teach them, and now it's just normal for them.
Yeah. Could this process actually be like super extensive, and could generations have passed?
I think so, because the one is like super old. Like, you know, he's like all like gross and like he looks like he's about to die. The Nicodemus, but he was there, so he was like, you know, a healthier, younger rat at that point. So like, I feel like it's been a super long time, at least for rat. You know, in rat years, it's like, you know, hundreds of years. I don't know what rat years are. You know, I haven't looked that up.
This is an open invitation to Don Bluth. Please come on the show and explain this to us, if there is in fact an answer.
Okay, so rats live like 2 years, so yeah.
So say this thing maybe was able to make them live 10 times as long, maybe?
Potentially. I mean, that's how many generations where they could pass genes and advance the species. This is weird. We're getting way too into the
rat genetics.
We're looking way too much into an animated kids movie.
But the thing is this movie makes me want to because it's so deep. I want to learn more. I want to understand this world.
Yeah, the lore is great in this movie.
Yeah.
I will say though, if you're gonna watch this movie, beware of the Blu-ray. It is not the best quality. It does not look clean at all. There's tons of dirt and shit all over it.
I'd say, see, the copy I watched, that was not the case.
Yeah.
So
the Blu-ray is very much, and the Blu-ray had footage from the DVD that looked clean. Like, why does that look really good and this doesn't?
Yeah, I watched it on the whatever site Amadeus was also on, and it looked pretty clean.
Yeah.
Because I watched Hulu first, maybe 7 years ago, and it looked really good.
Well, maybe it was just not meant for high quality.
Well, I mean, the budget.
Or it could be a shitty transfer.
Or that.
That happens.
I think this movie is also kind of important, too, and Justin, you kind of alluded to this at times, is you compare this movie and other non-Disney movies to the Disney movies of the same era, and it's night and day. Mm-hmm. Secret of NIHM is way better than anything Disney produced around the same time.
Oh, most definitely. But it's not
as long as we're not talking about Fox and the Hound, or otherwise you're going to catch these hands.
Well, you better put up your dukes because it's better than Fox and the Hound.
No, fuck you.
Fox and the Hound.
Fuck you.
I don't hear an argument. I don't hear a comeback.
Well, how can I come back to you? Like, you say you think it's better. What am I supposed to say? No, you don't. Where are we supposed to go from there? I think it is. You don't. Oh. Okay.
Come on. Justin, tiebreaker.
Oh, he picked this movie. Of course we know which way Justin's going. Come on.
I want to hear him say it.
Nah, I'm good.
No, say it. I'm still taking this victory.
Well, after Amadeus last week.
I don't necessarily don't like Fox and the Hound. When did Fox and the Hound come out?
It was 81, I think.
Is that before this? It was
1981.
Yes.
This movie hurt Fox and the Hound because the people that left Disney to make this movie basically got Fox and the Hound pushed back 6 months. But also, important question, Alex. When was the last time that you've seen Fox and the Hound?
I mean, when I was a kid.
I rest my case.
Well, yeah. I mean, so.
I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, because Disney around this time had the Great Mouse Detective, Oliver and Company, The Black Cauldron, Fox and the Hound.
Great Mouse Detective is good.
I haven't actually seen
the rest of those Fox and the Hound and Mouse Detective are good. The rest are like gutter.
Yeah, I agree.
Oliver and Company is kind of okay.
The Rescue, and I think The Rescuers was before this. I like that one.
See, everyone remembers Rescuers 2 more than they remember Rescuers 1.
Dude, Rescuers 2 slaps hard.
The animation on The Rescuers 2 is like from the first one to the second one. You're like, wow.
Yeah, it was like 13. I think Rescuers 2 is like the 90s. It was a long gap.
Yeah, for some reason they made a sequel like that long after for theaters too.
Yeah, movie was sick.
It's a very non-Disney choice.
Yeah, the first Rescuers was 1977. The second one was 1990.
But that also kind of is how animation production worked. Like, people forget, like, at this time,
it took forever.
For context, Secret of NIHM was given a 30-month production cycle, and that was seen as, like, extremely fast for animation.
Well, you think about it nowadays, like animated movies, like now have like what 4 years,
and it was about 5 or 6 for animation around this time normally. Like Disney films, I think was like a 5-6 years development cycle. Most Disney movies that we know were not like went through like several revisions. Like Beauty and the Beast has entirely lost a version of it. Like
there's like 12. There's like 12 writer credits on these things.
Yeah, because they go through different versions. They go through different variations. Like Beauty and the Beast had a whole different one that got redone. Like basically they made that movie and then made that movie again.
Well, and Disney loves to reuse their animations, so they just plaster over something new over top of it.
In fact, I do love that the Jungle Book became like 4 other movies to just to save money. That shows where Disney was after Walt Disney died. But they got their asses kicked at the box office. Like Rescuers was like their last success for like a decade.
I mean, The Little Mermaid did all right, but I think the next big success was Aladdin.
Yeah, it took them a long time to really get going again. I mean, Little Mermaid was huge. And the Rescuers made a shit ton of money, but that was also a different time in a sense.
Yeah.
Where movies stayed in theaters forever. That's why you could do a sequel 13 years later was because that movie was probably in theaters on and off the entire time. But you have Disney movies from the era. I mean, Black Cauldron's the big one because Black Cauldron almost feels like it's trying to flex on Secret of NIHM.
And it doesn't work.
Like, they're very similar movies, in my opinion at least, that are...
The Black Cauldron came out 3 years after Secret of NIHM.
But I think it was in production around the same time. It just kept getting pushed back because it was terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it's like the same, a very similar animation style. They're like, let's try and save the story. What are you up to, John Hurt?
And it's that very, it's very high concept, lots of lore, lots of crap going on. It has the same flaws.
There was lots of crap going on in that one.
He slapped. It has so many characters. It has the same issues roughly as Secret of NIHM, right? Too many characters, too many plot points.
Too many notes.
Fuck you. The only difference.
But it's just like those like cranked up, yeah.
Yeah, but the only difference is that the shit in Secret of NIHM is actually interesting, where the stuff in Black Cauldron is just bad. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just fantasy.
And it has
garbage.
one of the most insufferable movie characters I've ever seen.
Gergie.
Is that Gergie?
Yep. The movie thinks that like you're supposed to care about him so much that like he makes a sacrifice and you're supposed to be sad. Like I was cheering, and then like he magically comes back at the end, and I'm like, no,
you kill Gergie.
He was dead. I wanted him to be dead. That's how bad he was.
Yeah, I haven't actually. Have I seen Black Cauldron in its entirety? It's hard to find because Disney buried it for like a decade.
And now they want to do a remake.
Yeah, if not more than that, which is really strange. Because they buried it, brought it back, and then buried it like right after that. Like, does it even have like a DVD or Blu-ray release?
I don't think so, but it's on Disney Plus.
I was just going to look that up if it was or not.
It got a 4K release.
Recently then.
Yeah, Disney, in 2021, Disney announced a Blu-ray copy of the movie exclusive to Disney Movie Club. It was released May 4th, 2021. So it just got a Blu-ray. Wow. Weeks ago that you can't even buy in stores. You have to be part of the Disney Movie Club.
What is Disney Movie Club?
You've never heard of that?
Very bad. No.
You never had the letters in the mail that came with the stickers of Mickey and Minnie?
No, I don't think Disney wants any part of me.
Yeah, we used to go all the time, and I keep the stickers. It was a really big kind of scammy thing that actually apparently wasn't a scam because you allowed you to get Disney movies for like dirt cheap.
They're restricting certain home media releases to this club.
Essentially, yeah, like a lot of the rare stuff. It allowed you to get like stuff like Lion King, stuff that was in the vault when it wasn't in the vault, but you had to like pay maybe a little bit more or less depending. You got like 6 movies for like $1 right away, but then you have to like buy like 1 movie a month, I think at minimum.
It was like in the vault, but you have to be a member to get into the vault.
Yeah. But they did release, like, that's how DuckTales, the movie, was released on DVD. It's how a lot of the rare, like, Donald and Magic Land, a lot of like the animation specials from the 50s, 40s, that kind of stuff. That's how that stuff got released. Basically, the stuff that Disney felt would not actually sell well on home video.
But they can sell to the crazy fans.
Yeah, I'm looking at Disney Movie
out
Club
the
right
ass
now.
for.
I'm gonna see how this works. Right now, if you join now, you get 4 movies for $1.
Yay!
The best way to buy Disney movies. See, jumpstart your membership, and then collect all your favorites. Every 4 weeks or so, we'll send you the most anticipated Disney movies. If you don't want it, choose a different movie. Or skip it altogether by the date indicated. We'll make sure Disney you get the best deals on your favorite Disney movies. You'll get big discounts, the most 50% off, plus gifts along the way. So if you're part of this, you're basically required to buy Disney movies once every 4 weeks, multiple
That's
of
like
them.
hell.
But you get a discount. If you have kids, this is if you have kids and don't have good internet, this actually might be a really good deal.
Yeah.
Probably.
But at the same time, Disney Plus kind of makes this irrelevant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless you really love physical releases. And it comes with the most anticipated Disney movie and an optional exclusive lithograph. Only problem is you have to pay for it. So that's kind of dumb. Here we go. As a member, you agree to purchase 5 more titles starting at $19.95. So you join this club and you have $100 minimum that you have to pay, which if you have a kid, probably isn't that bad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spent on Disney movies, I've spent that in a very quick period of time before. When I was going for my Marvel movie collection, I did get, because Disney Blu-rays especially are pretty expensive still, which is dumb as hell. But and you can become a VIP after you buy the 5 required movies. As a VIP, you'll get more discounts and you'll have a great movie collection too. This is a freaking pyramid scheme.
Buy 5 movies, then buy 5 more movies.
If you buy 5
And then
movies,
if you get your friends, you get more of a discount if you get 2 friends, and then they get more friends to buy the movies.
Oh, there's Fox movies in here too. Oh, that's gross.
Oh, wow.
Like the Sandlot's on here now.
Well, they're technically Disney now.
Ah, gross.
Scratch off
think
that
the
Fox
exclusive
logo and slap a Disney
I
one.
want to see what exclusives that you can get only through here.
What's the racist
Is
one?
Peanuts movie on here twice? Yeah, it's on the Southland exclusive on here. Is that one of them?
Probably
It's like
not.
Disney Movie Club exclusives. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like if you don't if you don't have Disney Plus, or if Disney Plus wasn't a thing, like this would be a lot bigger. But I think you bought a Disney Movie Club exclusive one when we were at like a secondhand movie store, because you bought that Blackbeard's Ghost.
No, my family had that one.
Oh, you did? But did you have it on DVD?
Yeah.
Because that DVD copy that you had looked like a Movie Club exclusive.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people selling it back probably somewhere.
See if I can find it.
I'm looking
Just for
through these.
even a lot probably. Like there would be a premium on it.
Yeah, I'm looking through their exclusives. It's like the TV movies.
The straight to
Like-
DVD
Oh, are they
bad
special?
Aladdin sequels.
No, more like Smart Home in the other Disney Channel original movies,
Oh no.
and like the weird like TV stuff. I see Geppetto. I see Shipwrecked. The Littlest Outlaw. Half these don't look
The
real.
Littlest
I
Outlaw.
don't even know half.
Sammy
of
the
these.
Way Out Seal. Doug's
boy.
first movie. Okay, that should be just a thing. Why is that a Movie Club exclusive? There's some exclusive TV show stuff like Zorro. Lots of Zorro. Kim Possible looks like it's exclusive to Disney Movie Club. Weekenders. Goof
Weird.
Troop and DuckTales were at one point, but I don't think they are anymore.
I don't see anything on the case that says it's.
Oh, DuckTales Volume 4 is exclusive. Okay. Yeah. I only have 1 through 3. So this is season 4 is exclusive to Movie Club. Same with Gargoyles and Tailspin got exclusive Movie Club releases only.
I don't see anything on the
It's a terrible practice.
DVD cover that says anything about a movie club.
Interesting. What does it say on the cover? Is there like this logo that has? Is there a blue oval looking thing that says "Wonderful World of Disney"?
No.
Okay.
Just a
Did.
Disney DVD thing.
Okay. Damn. Well, hey! Blackbeard's Ghost is on here. It's on this list. Let's go. I'm looking right at it. Might just be the Blu-ray only is Movie Club exclusive, but Mighty Ducks is a Disney Club exclusive. Why the hell is Mighty Ducks? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Why are these exclusives?
Money.
Is there actually Goofy movie Holes? These are actually like popular movies.
This must be new then.
That's weird. Black Cauldron. God, this just seems super. I mean, this is Disney being Disney, right? The exclusive releases definitely. That you have to do through Disney. And Secret of NIHM, I think Disney actually owns the home movie rights to that. 'Cause I think Fox has the home media rights to it. So Disney, I think, might actually own that movie now. Tinfoil hat time. Disney Fox deal was just an elaborate deal so Disney could bite Don Bluth and own Secret of NIHM. But also going back to like the Disney versus non-Disney movie thing. Now that we did this segue into weird Disney movie club shit, Black Cauldron lost to Care Bears, like the Care Bear movie.
That's funny.
Like that's how weird shit was at the time. Let's say non-Disney animated movies of the 80s. Let's see what we got. Let's see what came around this time. Because Don Bluth was Disney's like biggest nemesis, especially in the 80s, because he did like Land Before Time, American Tail, all the stuff that was like actually getting really big. And Disney just couldn't keep up until Little Mermaid came and they became gods among men. Like there was a time where Disney almost got bought out, like for the hostile takeover around this time.
It's impossible to imagine.
Kind of makes
Disney
you wish
would
it did
like
happen.
actually assassinate that person.
Troll in Central Park. That movie's bad though. Why's that in the good movies? That's a bad movie. So is Thumbelina. Thumbelina's also bad. Okay, Titan AE I like, but it's not great.
It's fun though.
Prince of Egypt was 90s, but Dreamers.
Prince of Egypt.
Dreamers did come and kick some ass for a little bit there.
We're back at Dinosaur Story. Oh, that's 1993. Never mind.
Well, the 90s and 80s are probably the same. This is the same kind of era.
Yeah.
Page Master. Screw Page Master. Land Before Time. I promise is I can't actually tell you what happens in the first Land Before Time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it since I was a kid, but... And
I watched all the sequels like interchangeably.
It's because they were always on.
So I can't tell you what... Yeah, so I can't tell you what happens in each individual movie. I know the first one is Littlefoot's parents die in a pretty like graphic fashion.
Yeah, his mom dies in a graphic function, and I think then he goes on a journey to the Land Before Time or whatever, and that's when he meets all his friends, and then they meet up at the end at where his grandparents are. I believe that's how it goes.
And there's American Tail, which again I thought was born as a kid, but even now it's been ruined for me by the South Park episode with Mr. Garrison and the mouse, where they sing the song from American Tail, "The Somewhere Out There," and there's the sing. They made me say it. It's about the singing penis.
No,
no one's reacting. Damn it! I have to do something. Iron Giant's pretty great.
Yeah, I love Iron.
But number one though, I hate this movie. My wife loves this movie. I cannot. She owns like all of them on DVD. I can't stand it. The Swan Princess.
I was gonna. When you said all of them, like I was gonna say the Swan Princess.
Yeah, like
the Swan Princess.
Yeah,
and they're still making more of them. So they're making new ones still.
Good God! It's about a princess that gets turned into a swan.
It has the French frog voiced by John Cleese.
I've probably seen this on like Disney Channel at some point, but it's not good. I don't remember anything about it.
I think there's
it's not good. That's the problem. People watched it because ooh, it's animated. It's the movies that they make to trick grandparents into buying animated shit for their grandkids.
This looks like Cinderella. Or whatever.
There are people that do like Swan Princess. I am not one of them.
I don't remember.
I also had this really weird not Disney Snow White sequel. Did any of you guys see this?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Let me try and look it up quick.
Yeah, but she like goes back and meets like it's not the dwarves, but it's like all the women ones.
It's like female dwarves.
Yeah.
Happily Ever After, 1989. That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, that was weird. I remember that one.
I owned a VHS of this, and I don't know why.
Dude, my family owned all these weird Disney movies on VHS.
It was owned by Filmation. That's the one that made it. God, this looks terrible now. But yeah, it was like, and that's the thing too, because this is the 80s, so this is the same era as Secret of NIHM, that same decade. It was either stuff like Secret of NIHM, where it was stuff trying to like out Disney, and then people that basically tried to copy off Disney's homework, and profit off that. Which Happily Ever After is one of those. I feel like I don't want to call my parents stupid and be like and try to figure out why they got me this movie, but I feel like it's because they went, this is Disney-ish, or maybe they thought it was Disney, and they're like, this will shut up, kid. But oh my God, this cast.
Can I copy your test? Sure, just don't make it obvious.
This cast though, Irene Cara as Snow White, she's a singer. She did I think the Flashdance music. But Malcolm McDowell is the villain.
And the first time ever not being in a hard R movie.
There he is, Dom DeLuise. He's the magic mirror. That's fitting. Carol Channing, Zaza Gabor, Carol Channing, Jonathan Harris, Tracy Ullman as two characters. Ed Asner, what is this movie? What?
Straight to Disney DVD adaptation, I'm pretty sure.
Well, this is Filmation. Their whole business plan was to make sequels to Disney movies. What? So this whole company's whole idea was to make sequels to movies that they didn't make. And Disney sued them, obviously.
Oh, man. I'm looking at the animation of this thing, and I'm like, I don't remember it being that shitty.
I don't remember either, but this looks terrible.
Looks awful.
They made another one called Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night. Which, looking at this looks amazing. This looks like some really Eastern European movie that you see at like grocery store checkout lines. But it was made in the state and actually kind of has a budget. James Earl Jones is in this.
Who held a gun to his head?
James Earl Jones, he's the Emperor of the Night, and Don Knotts. God, this is a weird time for animation. If you haven't figured it
noticed,
it's an era where Disney was not king and Care Bears was.
Man, I don't even think I've ever seen this Pinocchio movie. Good God, this is weird.
And then you have stuff like Secret of NIHM, going back to our actual topic of the day. That was
to be
really
fair, my
good.
Topic was going to be basically non-Disney movies that don't get as much love.
Yeah, but I feel like some of these, like Pinocchio, The Emperor of the Night, and the other one, Happily Ever After, probably don't deserve any love.
No.
from what I'm looking, but most of Don Bluth's films have, like, basically Don Bluth is like the king of the non-Disney animated movie, because most of them, honestly, for how much crap I give Disney specifically, they make good shit. It's hard to find animation not made by them that it's actually any good, especially in these different eras. Because like Iron Giant's good, but remember Cats Don't Dance? Yeah.
Like,
there's a reason why you don't.
That's a stupid one I like.
I freaking hate Cats Don't Dance. It's so, the animation's good, but it's so dumb. And Alex probably has no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
What about the Road to El Dorado? That's a great movie.
Oh, hey, yeah, that movie's good. But it was.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but I heard
it was. Oh, you would like it. I think. I think you would like it. It's like an adult movie that's actually like framed as a kid's film.
There's even a blowjob scene.
Yeah. There's a blatant blowjob scene that I have no idea how that didn't get cut. But DreamWorks and Don Bluth are the only ones that like really stood out against Disney. The rest kind of failed, and then eventually DreamWorks started to fail too. Well, because Disney, like in the mid 2000s, Disney started to suck again, and then DreamWorks got really good, but then they started to suck again, and then Disney after making Princess and the Frog, just started like basically stop trying to do new things and just makes things that they did in the 90s again, like Frozen, and just take that profit to the fucking moon.
And Illumination just doesn't care. We're going to make whatever we want, and you'll either like it or hate it. Or
I hate that they're successful.
Or you'll hate it, and people still go and see it for some stupid reason.
Like, Illumination's business model is actually pretty good because their films, if you look at how much they cost, they're made for about half of a Disney movie. Mm-hmm. Most Illumination films are cost about $70 million. They look it, but they don't cost a heck of a lot. And they're super profitable because they just market them everywhere. Like, it's why you see the Minions on literally everything.
Yeah.
And why you hilariously saw the Lorax on everything.
I speak for the trees.
I'm on a list of underrated animated movies. Most of these are non-Disney. One of them we didn't talk about because I haven't actually seen, but I feel like whenever you mention non-Disney animated movies, this one always comes up. And I doubt anyone have seen it, but I know that Helena, I believe, is a fan, and that's The Last Unicorn.
Nope.
That's no, I have no idea what that is.
I mean, I would be the one to see it before Alex, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's for sure. If he has it, there's no chance.
But that was another.
There
was something with the 80s in the high concept animated fantasy film that went nowhere. You had Black Cauldron, Secret of NIHM, Last Unicorn, and before that, in the 70s, I believe it was the 70s, you had Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
the one that's also
and the Hobbit
forgotten.
one. I've seen the animated Hobbit.
Yeah, but that's like a TV movie though, so it doesn't really count.
I thought there was like a real one, but I could be wrong.
No. You're thinking of the Rankin Bass anime one that was on TV. It wasn't released theatrically because Rankin Bass made The Hobbit and then Return of the King because it was bizarre because they made The Hobbit, then Ralph Bakshi made Lord of the Rings, which is like the first half of the storyline because you can't do that in one movie. But the studio didn't market it as part one, so people got pissed. And then they took it back to Rankin Bass to make a TV version to end the story. It was bizarre. But for some reason, animated fantasy movies that went nowhere were a really hot commodity.
We should bring that back. Fantasy works great with animation.
Netflix is trying to, because I know Warner wanted to do one with Bone by Jeff Smith, which is an amazing fantasy story. It's one of the best ever. I love it. It's my favorite comic books of all time. But it didn't go anywhere, so Netflix is doing it. But it's a TV show, not a movie. But I feel like, especially with animation, that the lines between TV and movie are starting to blur a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell when something's meant to be a movie versus a television show.
God, the Hobbit movie looks so ugly. The animated one, it's
bad. I watched it like when I was a kid and like I was in peak Lord of the Rings craze, you know, like I saw Return of the King in theaters and like I was obsessed, and you know, it's like, oh, there's this animated one, and I watched it. I'm like, oh, that was terrible because there was no Peter Jackson Hobbit trilogy at that point. So it's like, well, I want to see the Hobbit.
Oh wow.
Fun fact, it was animated by the studio that eventually became Studio Ghibli, which means so this is like an ultimate weeb film.
No wonder I don't like it. Does that mean I watched anime willingly?
A lot of animation,
more like unknowingly.
Yeah.
Well, most animation of the 80s and 70s was animated in Japan, anime or not. Like even like DuckTales was animated by I think Toei. And you can kind of tell that some of those shows were animated in Japan just by the way the animation moves. See, but really though, going back to him, if you want to see like the weird animation stuff for that time, Ralph Bakshi, the dude was insane. He made the first ever animated X-rated movie, Fritz the Cat.
Okay.
And it does earn that X rating. He had another fantasy movie, which is Wizards, which I'm gonna like lose my animation fan card for saying this, but I couldn't finish Wizards. It was too brain. It's just weird. It's like drug shit. It's like an LSD fever dream. I could not follow it. And that's most of what Ralph Bakshi's stuff. Either you love Ralph Bakshi's animation style, or you hate it and think it's ugly as hell. There's like no in between.
I think I've seen clips of these, but not the full thing.
Well, I don't know if I can like watch Fritz the Cat or Coonskin. That's another one. I don't know if like they just look gross to me. I mean, because one of them is basically porn.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than Bakshi, there's not a ton of people that like try to take on to Disney and do like adult animation. I mean, Bakshi stuff is kind of gross by modern day standards, even though it's pretty innovative in terms of animation in general. But Disney just owned it. If it wasn't Disney, then they didn't want to do it. And this is from companies like Warner that did like Looney Tunes. But for some reason, they really wanted to make like a Looney Tune movie. They kind of did in the 80s around the time of Secret of NIHM, but it was all like compilation films of previously existing animation.
Yeah, it was basically like clip shows.
It was either blatant clip shows, or they would like take random shorts and try to edit together as a plot of a movie with like other animation. It was really weird.
Well, it's like the one where I think it's Daffy and Speedy Gonzales find the wishing well, and people come make a wish. And
Fantastic Island.
Yeah, and then also
Daffy
basically just a cartoon you've already seen.
Mm-hmm. Most of them are like Daffy Duck's Quackbusters, which is them fighting like ghosts and stuff. But it's like each time they fight a ghost, it's just a random cartoon you've already watched. I guess they're trying to save money. That's a cheap way of doing it.
Basically.
Why reuse individual shots like Disney when you can reuse entire short films? So I guess Secret of NIHM deserves some credit for trying something new. Even though, as you've talked about, I don't think... I'm getting the sense of our opinions that we all know it has flaws, yet me and Justin seem more willing to overlook them than you, Alex.
Probably. I mean, I did enjoy it, but...
Hey, the fact that we got to watch an animated movie...
Enough!
What?
I'm just kidding. I said not good enough.
I mean, the fact that we got to watch an animated movie is good.
Yeah, my 14.
Yeah, you got me to watch 2 in the last 2 weeks. That's like a record.
All right.
I probably haven't done
good.
that since I was like 4.
How to come up with another one?
Yeah, same. Should do all animation. Well,
Yeah,
I want to do
you
one.
don't try me at that point.
I want to do one for adult animation, but it's very hard to find. So I'll see. Like not only will we have a hard time watching it, but so will other people that listen to us will have a hard time actually getting away to watch the movie. And what's the fun in that, right?
Right.
There's no sense in me telling people to watch a movie. Like Secret of NIHM, you watch it for free on Tubi right now. With ads. But what you shouldn't do is get Tubi and then get an ad blocker. You should not do that. Do not get an ad blocker. Definitely
right.
don't.
Never.
Yeah, never get an ad blocker and then watch people to watch Secret of NIHM with no ads for free.
Because the ad blocker definitely doesn't work.
People don't like.
Definitely.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I love watching ads. Don't you love watching people do stupid things that you know that are stupid to get for a stupid product?
I do love ads, especially for our next sponsor.
I love my movie getting interrupted every 5 minutes for an unskippable ad that just that upsets the flow of everything I'm trying to do.
For a product you don't want?
It's great. It's beautiful. No problems here.
Just like our next sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
To sponsor this podcast, we have Raycon headphones. Let's go through all of them. Let's make sure none of these people sponsor us. Manscaped.
HelloFresh.
HelloFresh was like years ago. No, I don't know if there's
No.
VPN.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Manscaped.
Oh, yeah, Manscaped is...
Manscaped. I mean, if you guys want to give us some money, we'll
yeah,
fund your
we've
shit.
already advertised for you here, so really, like, it's just paying us afterwards, but...
ExpressVPN.
Oh, yeah. NordVPN, too. Those are the two that always pay out.
Listen, listen. We'll advertise your stuff for you. No one will buy it because no one listens, but we'll... We'll see.
Nobody's
Anyway.
actually gonna trust stuff that we tell them to use, even if they do listen. So
Yeah. I can't get these fuckers to watch a movie I like just by me saying it's good. Because I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid that I'm gonna trick them into watching something that's purposely terrible.
Well, I mean, we'll get to that.
Have I done that? I think I did once.
No.
well, no, I won't go.
Not to you, Justin, but I know I probably did it to him.
Well, I didn't like Hardcore Henry.
I'd say you did, but that was the first time you. I was gonna say you made me watch Tootsie or
what?
The one where
Tiptoes.
Tiptoes,
right?
Tiptoes. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that was the first time you watched it too. So.
I mean, I knew it was bad though. But that's how I met my wife. See, or started dating my wife.
You can tell how normal we.
I know, right? My relationship is completely stable. No problems here. We started dating watching Tiptoes. Anyway, Secret of NIHM, final thoughts.
Great animated movie. It's got its flaws, but if you like high concept animation, this is for you.
Yeah, gorgeous movie. Who's going?
You started first. All right, but I don't know.
One of you go.
You can't see me, but I'm glaring at you right now, Alex.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, it's a good animated film. I enjoyed it. It's got a lot of beautiful visuals and a lot of interesting story pieces like we've talked about. It's definitely, especially if you're a fan of animation and like this kind of like more fantastic driven animation, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, gorgeous movie, aged beautifully. There's some parts that don't work, but I can kind of excuse them from production standpoints. But it's aged wonderfully. It's good for kids. You can find it on Tubi, or I'm sure it's in some Walmart $3 bin, probably. But it's not. Even though the cover of the DVD looks terrible. The original poster is really what they've been using because the original poster is beautiful. The actual like cover that you buy on the Blu-ray is god awful. But don't let that scare you away. It's a great movie. It's one of the best animated movies it's one of my favorite animated films. I wouldn't say it's top 10, but it's definitely probably top 15. I do love it. I do agree with Justin. I'm glad. It's a good pick, Justin. Solid pick. Because I know Alex's next pick is going to be some like 3-hour.
Hey, I said I got to cool on those for a little bit. So I've done like 2-3 hour films, so I got to give it a break before I go back to those.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, great pick. I think we all recommend people watch it, right? I think we're all there.
Yeah. You might not like it. But
I'm kind of upset that Alex likes it because I was kind of hoping for a fight a little bit.
Yeah, like I don't love it, but I like it. It's a good film.
Well, even Alex's negatives, it's like we can't argue because it's like
yeah,
you're right.
You're right.
Yeah, I've boxed myself in a nice spot here.
I feel like some people will argue it's too dark. I think some parents might be upset by some of the imagery because it is a kind of a freaky movie, but.
Now people take their kids to like Deadpool and shit.
That's
so
true.
Like,
wait, but that's because Deadpool's bad for sex and blood, not like spooky owl dude.
Well, what's the other animated movie where the rabbits dies in like Peter Rabbit or something?
Oh, Watership Down.
Oh,
yeah, and see, I feel like I know I've seen this movie before, and I know I've seen that movie, and beforehand I got parts of them confused for sure.
Yeah, Watership Down. I think people think that they're the other. Like I think they get them mixed up a lot. I mean, Watership Down is way more terrifying than Secret of NIHM. That movie's fucked up. That's not a kid's movie. That is not a kid's movie at all. But Secret of NIHM, it's a kid's film. But like, don't sell your kids short. Show them something other than Minions and all the other trash that's out there. This movie. It's an enjoyable adventure film. It's something that we all like. And maybe they'll forget about it in 15 years and then think they made up like the rest of us did. But with that, we're out of time. Thanks for listening to another episode of Idiot Plot. On behalf of Alex and Justin, I'm David Yanish. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.